On July 17th, 1948, a star was born. This is Buddy's movie.
Well, good. And I'm behind the camera.
Actually, this is about you, so you have to be on camera.
Whose idea was this? Okay. Right on the set. 16 Alpha, Act 2, Take 3, Mark. And I just graduated from high school, and I smoked all the way through high school. And when I got out of high school, I didn't have much of a job. So naturally, you wind up in a situation where you didn't have any smoke. And you get the idea that it's time to quit when you find yourself standing outside of an elevator, and a guy walks up and just lights up a big long Benson and Hedges. You stare at that, he takes a puff, the elevator doors open, and he jams it into the sand bucket right next to the elevator. And you're timing it, he walks in the elevator, you scoot over to that sand bucket, you bend down, and you gotta be real quick because the sand puts them cigarette butts up pretty quick. So you gotta be real quick at this. And so you grab down and you get that big old long Benson and Hedges, and you grab it up and it's not lit anymore. And just that, you found the guy made a mistake when he pushed the button and the elevator door opens up and you're standing there. And you don't want to be real embarrassed, so you just got to think quick and you just say, would you have a mask?
All right, and the both of you, just remember that the first 40 years is the hardest. Okay? Now, being aside, you and all these fine folks are from, I forgot one thing. No, I just wanted to welcome you to the Pomichter family and how proud we are to have you as a daughter-in-law, and how proud we are to have gained all of these extended families.
Raymond Michael Pomichter Jr., affectionately known to his friends and family as Buddy, was born on July 17, 1948. In the mid-1960s, Buddy distinguished himself from a generation when he chose to carry on his family's tradition of military service and enlisted in the United States Navy. Buddy served honorably and rose to the pay grade and rank of E4, boatswain's mate, 3rd class, while serving as a crewman on the Gearing-class destroyer USS Robert L. Wilson, which served in the Asian-Pacific theater of the Vietnam War from October 1968 until March 1969. On October 11, 1969, Raymond was honorably discharged from the United States Navy and returned to civilian life. Buddy was forever changed by his service, but as he did throughout most of his life, he found joys and passions within and between the indelible impacts of his service, adapting and adopting to himself some of his most prized traits. Indeed, among these are his love of the outdoors, his way of finding humor and laughter in even the darkest moments, and his fierce commitment to family, community, and country. It is difficult to say which came first for a young Raymond, these traits inseparable from the man we knew, or the service for which he was so very proud. All that is certain is that in an era when the service of so many was an inglorious and sometimes unenviable distinction, Raymond Michael Pomichter Jr. continued a family tradition of service that started with his fathers and his uncles during World War II, and has continued to this day. Buddy's service was a part of who Buddy was. It is a part of who we all are. And we are grateful for all that he has given us.
And finally, the section we've all been waiting for. Music.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's do this for real now.
I get a funny feeling when you look at me. I get a funny feeling so divine. I get a funny feeling when you hold my hand. I get a funny feeling every time. Each night I toss and turn until the day comes. But darling, I can't get you off my mind. And when I see you walking in that sunlight, well, I get a funny feeling that you're mine.
Buddy and I met at a country jamboree in Pennyville, New York. He was the rhythm guitar player in the host band. I was camping out with my aunt and uncle at the time, and we were at a campground called Whispering Pines. And we saw a poster about the jamboree, and because I liked to sing, and it was my birthday, they took me to the jamboree. I got up on stage and sang Knox 3 Times by Tony Orlando and Dawn. It was a 1970s tune. And I was so nervous. By the second verse, I forgot the words. I was amazed at how quickly the band responded, though. They just repeated the chorus for me, and then I was done. When the band took a break, Buddy and his sister Deanna came over to my table to introduce themselves. That was really the first and only time I've seen Buddy show any shyness. You know, he's so good at being an entertainer as he was. The next day, he showed up at the campground with a birthday card for me, and he brought his guitar. So after he played a few country tunes, I had to go and use the restroom. So as I was walking away, he sang Whispering Pines by Johnny Horton. The farther away I walked, the more beautiful that song sounded. It just echoed through the pine trees. And that's when I fell in love with him.
I get a funny feeling when you're by my side. A funny feeling and it feels so fine. I get a funny feeling when you kiss my lips. I get a funny feeling all the time. Each night I toss and turn and dream about you. But darling, I can't get you off my mind. And when I'm walking with you in that sunlight, well, I get a funny feeling all the time. Yeah,
album, Buddy Raymond has taken another important step in his climb to stardom. The 27-year-old country and western singer and actor has been busy this summer as an entertainer at Buckskin Joe in Colorado, a tourist site where such movies as Pat Blue were filmed. Buddy has also been doing some acting with bit parts in the television series How the West Was Won. Buddy's been singing for 10 years, the last 2 with his wife Cindy joining the team.
Starlit night when he rode into town. 2 years had made him cautious since he'd shot his first man down. No matter where he goes, it seems there's one more gun to find. This way of life was passed on him, he knows it isn't right. A lad of only 17 who saw his parents die, strapped on a gun and headed out beneath the western sky. On a dusty street in a mining town, he found that murderer. His lightning draw earned him the name of the gunfighter. Just like all the rest, he knew the time would come. Any drifter who had called him out, he'd fought and he had won. At high noon he would face a man whose guns were low and tied. The notches on their handles told of the men who died. The town folks who had gathered on the street to watch and on knew that one of these young men would stand and one would fall. This man of 19 years had met a gun deadly and sure. A faint smile shows he knows the fate of this gunfighter. His epitaph will read to all, here lies a gunfighter.
Tell us about high school, man. Playing soccer in high school.
Sports in high school. Well, unlike your brother and yourself, my sports career wasn't really that illustrious. I went to a little town called Poland, New York, high school in Poland. Naturally, you got a big P for a letter. Well, I lettered in wrestling and I lettered in soccer, but I think the P was for persistence, mainly because my wrestling career, well, it was pretty illustrious from my angle. Mostly all I saw was mainly the ceiling. I had 14 matches and 14 losses. No. You know, telling a story to you on video is pretty interesting now that I'm all grown up, because you see, this was pretty traumatic for me as a child. Soccer, I was real good in soccer, and in the one game that I actually got to kick the ball, I found that when the ball comes near you, so does all the other team, and they overrun me, and I sprained both my ankles and got both my kneecaps spiked, and that was the end of my soccer career. I played baseball. Let's see, I was up to bat 4 times. I struck out 4 times, and I think they even.
So you
I
had,
think they even.
you
I
were
think
quite
they even
the
gave me.
athlete.
Yeah, and I think they even gave me 4 strikes on a couple of them. I couldn't make it as outfielder, so I decided I wanted to be a catcher. He didn't do much, I figured. He just kind of sat there and he moved his fingers around a little bit. Oh, it was one time at bat because nobody had told me to stay behind the batter. And I got squat down and that batter swung and hit me right in the back of the head and put my lights out. And so the coach decided that catching wasn't my position. And fortunately, that was the last game of the season too, and the season ended. So I was once again spared the embarrassment. Yeah, well, how come I tell these stories and I don't get any chuckles, but when I say I graduated from high school, everybody breaks up. Is that the end of this interview?
Well, maybe he didn't think he was much of an athlete, but he was one heck of a coach. Once we all got into high school sports, Dad started coaching track with his friend Mike King. And together they took a small group of kids from one of the smallest towns in Arizona and turned them into a multi-year championship team that could compete with even the largest schools in the state.
There are a lot of great times with Dad. One kind of funny and stressful at the time was during track. He was a great coach, and we would just argue back and forth over nothing, over me running up and down the pole vault runway. And the head coach would come over to have something to say to us and would turn right around and just walk off and say nothing while we were having one of our little spats. And he was always sarcastic at what seemed like the wrong time. But it made an amazing story in the future that we all laugh about. Even though there were a lot of rough times as well. I definitely would not change anything about my dad. I love you and will always miss you.
And you know, I hear that he was also a good bowler. Except for that time, of course, where he forgot to let go of the bowling ball and he threw himself down the alley. But other than that, I think he was pretty good. As for his baseball career, well, Dad kind of redeemed himself in the summer of 2000 when he joined myself and the cast and crew of the TV show Felicity for our summer softball league game. And, well, he finally got on base. This is the Buddy's Dream Gold Claim.
Where's Buddy?
There
he is.
Coming out here is Buddy. There's Buddy the Watchman.
There's the man of the hour.
Wait, so how does that work? Like, you rent out this claim, and then if I come and show up and I try to dig on your claim, how do you handle it?
I call the sheriff and you go to jail. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to explain that.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, my former partner, when we first found the area, it was completely virgin. Hadn't been dug on at all. And we took a lot of gold out of here. Anywhere from pinhead ties up to a 3/4 ounce nugget. And then behind camp, that hole there, at least 50% of that was dug by Mom.
We work as a team.
High five.
Yep.
You guys look like you're working pretty hard.
This is
Right
this is
here.
when you relax. This is the resting stage.
You got a team project.
Family team here.
And
Looks like a big pile of dinosaur dung. Y'all just known all these years. I'm only in it for the glamour. I have all the high tech.
you're rolling a gold joint.
Yeah, this is I have all the high tech equipment. Nothing but the best for me when it comes to gold mining.
and I did that this weekend. I got 1.5 grams. There's 31.1 grams in an ounce. So I've only got, 5 more weeks and I have a half ounce.
The same process every day, right?
Yeah. Same process every day.
Do you take weekends off? No.
No, I don't take weekends off, because weekends off is when all the crazies are out. You know.
Yeah.
I should feel right at home with them.
We had a reading one time. It was fairly small, but it took us a long time to. We couldn't get it, so we figured out it's probably not gold. So I put the big bar in there and busted it open. A 3-gram nugget fell out of it.
Wow.
How many? 3 grams?
Yeah, 3-gram nuggets.
That's one thing about prospecting and mining is it's a game of patience.
I was asked how Dad and I would spend our days out on the claim. One day comes to mind. Got up real early one day, decided to head it out. It was freezing cold outside, but we thought we'd go ahead and just do it. Turned out to be about 22 degrees out. We built a little fire so we could heat our coffee and our fingertips up, and then started getting digging. The ground was so frozen that it made it so hard that we could hardly dig. So after a bit, we just decided to stop for a minute because Dad's feet got cold. So we built a proper campfire, and he took his boots off, and his socks stuck to the rocks. It was so cold. After a bit, decided to go ahead and just rub some tailings we had piled up through our little high banker. And it was so cold that the water began freezing over the ripples as we poured through it. And at that point, decided to go ahead and just call it a day. We didn't find much that day, but had a lot of fun. Typical days, spent most of our time, basically like Dad used to say, just assume the position, ass up and dirt in the face, and that's how we spent 60% of our time. And hoping by the last few hours of sunlight it would pay off and we'd find something. Then we'd have days where we'd just simply go out and hike around, check out the claim.
Well, we're gonna walk down the creek here, and down around the bend here somewhere, there's a big, large waterfall. And we're gonna check and see if it's running water down it for us. In the meantime, if we run across any good-looking spots, we'll stop and cut a sample.
And Dad, he wasn't a pretty explorer. We just enjoyed all the scenery around the claim.
If you think I'm gonna climb down through there just for a video, you're crazy.
This particular tree here is located at the top of a mountain that we would hike up to and have lunch looking down over the claim. Then just after that, carry on, and Dad was always looking for that next lead.
Well, right now, Dad's just starting a new area in his workings here, and this is like the top. He's not quite down to the bedrock yet, so he might get a few BBs, but when he goes down the next layer, he should be down to the bedrock. Chris behind us is preparing another spot for us, just directly across from this area.
Over there?
Did you rake it?
Yeah, both kind of raked it, yeah.
Well, I don't have to worry about losing any little gold here. And I don't have to worry about finding nothing big. No,
Oh, it's going crazy.
boy, it's always going crazy.
Check down here.
So we've got 4 in the pan, correct? 4
Well, we got a shell. This is another extra added attraction.
Jesus.
What
the hell?
Hey.
What's that? Oh.
What is that?
I found a ring.
Wait. No kidding.
Where the hell am I at the beach?
What?
That's a diamond ring.
What? No, out here in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
On your mining claim?
It is 14 carats.
Has anything like that
Let's see if that does that look a little familiar?
What do you mean there's that?
It's my ring, we planted it. He's gonna kill me. wasn't my idea. You're gonna have to forgive us. It's a Christmas prank.
Well,
I'm glad he found it for you. Oh my gosh,
you might have to forgive me because you don't pull pranks on each other out here on the claim. What I dig up, I keep.
Oh. She had to make sure you knew what you were finding gold.
We had to make sure you knew what you were doing.
So we wanted to make sure you wouldn't miss it. Oh God, he's so angry. Should I put it in there? Oh, sorry.
Oh, what's funny is like I put it over here, right? She's like raking this thing or something. Bronco like, where to go? Yeah, I'm glad we have a metal detector because we don't know where the ring went.
No more jokes. Ain't nothing makes a guy's butt pucker. Find out that he just found a diamond ring and he can't keep it.
Yeah, one thing about Dad is that, his sense of humor. He just could make anyone laugh. Made friends with anyone he came across, telling jokes. And just a very charismatic personality.
What'd you say?
I bet the shitter's full.
Okay, all right.
I've also learned that if I'm not getting gold, I can go into landscaping. It takes like a magnitude 10 earthquake to jar it loose. So, or somebody like me that comes along and breaks it up.
So you're saying you're a magnitude 10 prospector?
Oh, I'm a magnitude 10 all the way. Mom will attest to that.
Mom,
you have to understand.
Yeah, Mom,
I'm not used to all this company around.
Lead him on?
Usually it's just me and me.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is the last photo I took. I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna really miss him.
And now we observe the man in his natural habitat, as he builds a nest for he and his mate. He projects an air of confidence.
Between lots of screws, plenty of paint, I can fix anything.
Ensuring she offers him a place to sleep, other than the couch.
Well, now we've got the trusses built. Mom and I are gonna push it up and slide it over into position. And after that, I'll screw it down and the roof will be on. And Mom can't find her gloves. Oh, this is why I've got your gloves on.
Wow, that might...
I got your gloves on, baby.
This happens a lot. Our gloves look the same.
Yeah. Well, I can get it here.
Inspection time.
Inspection?
Yeah.
You mean break time. And take a nap.
Smart move.
Hey, back here.
Including her in the construction process
2-5.
bears fruit. It's been 0 days since his last workplace accident.
Huh. I unplugged the machine. Chevy Chase would be proud of me. I hope there's no professional watching. Seem to have misplaced my hammer. I don't know why I'm so organized.
Her presence may have caused a bit of performance anxiety.
Quit the grinning. It hasn't fallen apart yet. Mom's back here giving me instructions. Doing something like this.
Speak up.
I don't know what she's doing.
Paying attention to her clues will be vital to success.
And you notice I've done this without one cuss word. Of course, you can't read my mind what's going through it. Okay, now I'll see if it actually fits.
And now the moment has arrived.
Hey.
This man wins the day.
How's that?
Thumbs up.
Well, when it came time to work on cars or fix something, Dad always had his own special solutions. For example,
we were going down to Apache Junction, and the step van quit running in the middle. It was between Apache Junction and out in the desert. So I thought maybe the filter in the carburetor was plugged. So I had to take off the carburetor to get to the filter. After I went through all the trouble of getting this carburetor off, I broke loose this thing on the carburetor and didn't have a filter in it. So I figured that wasn't plugged. So I thought, well, I'll turn it over and see if the fuel pump is pumping some fuel. So I turned the car over, and there's just enough fuel in the manifold for it to start. And it started. When it did, the gas pumped up, which was right under the distributor, and poof, the engine caught fire. We have a bit of a problem here, and the flames are boiling up out of this engine. And when I got all done getting the fire out, the distributor had melted into this kind of a blob. So what I did was, I carefully put the carburetor and stuff back on the truck, and I reached down as these wires were still warm, and I pulled them all apart and got them so they weren't touching anything. And when they got nice and cool, I turned it over and it started. And so Mom and I crossed the country twice with that truck like that, because it run, and it's kind of like Murphy's Law. You don't change it if it works. But when we pulled into a full-service gas station, we got some of the weirdest looks when this guy come running out to check our oil, and he opened up the hood, and here is this blob of plastic with this copper wire sticking out of it.
and of course, if you ever found yourself under a car and up to your elbows in grease with Dad, well, at least he always managed to make it fun.
James, you want to tell people what garage you're in?
Oh, yeah, I'm here in my dad's garage.
Hi, Dad.
Hi. Probably where I learned all the stuff not to do.
You notice I'm well organized.
Yeah, very. I think it's where I learned my organizational skills too.
How's it going here, boys?
Good. So we got to the point where we're supposed to pull this oil pump thing out, but we don't have the exact tool that to use, so we're kind of inventing one here.
Take these out. We got to make. Well, what we can do is we can rig this on here, and I'll back the truck up and hook it on here, and we'll just pull that baby right out. Oh, I'm sure this is going to be one fantastic.
Yeah, you could probably pause for a second here. There's a few discrepancies.
Okay.
Missing pieces.
Oh, we're ready. All we got to do is hook up the horses.
Yeah. All right. So we're just gonna kind of.
You got that in tight?
Oh.
Why don't we just strip that right out of there?
Yeah, just pull the threads out.
Okay. We're ready for it. Ready?
So, 1, 2.
It's
wait,
working.
We're pulling the whole table though.
I know that.
Wait,
Should I back?
Oh, wait, the oil's coming out.
Should I back up?
Okay, good. Pause.
Have we got a little problem?
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, don't lose it, Jim. Well, it's setting on
here. I'm gonna hold the
tires.
transmission, or one of us holds it and you pull.
Ready?
Okay, it's out.
What is that? It's out.
It's out. What is this?
That's just a bolt.
We don't need. That's an extra bolt we don't need.
Yeah.
Right,
we'll add that when
we're gonna take it out and go right here.
Whose idea was this?
You know, there's one thing with Buddy you could always count on. No matter how short you were on duct tape and bubblegum, he could always get that son of a bitch running. You know, despite the fact that a lot of the kids and the family were spread out by some distance from time to time, the one thing we could always count on is when we got together for holidays, it was always a good time.
Merry Christmas!
Okay. Alright.
Buddy Pomichter, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
My name is Garrett William Pomichter. My earliest memory of my dad, Buddy, is him working on his car, and a myriad of delightful, if not entirely age-appropriate words I learned from that experience. Later, I have a vivid, joyful set of memories of spending childhood summers traveling with Dad and Cindy and our growing family. Every summer was an adventure. As I grew into adulthood, Dad was always there for life's milestones. He was at both of my weddings and barely batted an eye years later when I showed up to visit with both wives. He was always cheerful and optimistic. I know some might wonder how we could feel close at all, having seen so little of one another, but all you need do is look around to understand. Look at my brothers and sisters. To see one another, all we really need to do is look in the mirror. We stand the same, we move the same. Our hair may be different colors or shades, but our eyes, our noses, thanks Dad, and so many other characteristics are so similar that one could be forgiven, perhaps, for thinking that Dad ran some kind of a cloning program. I know each person mourning Dad with us is a different story or a different memory. Mine are more of a compilation of memories and traits that bind us one to another across the miles and through the years. But it's a wonderful montage, playing to the sounds of a country guitar, strumming to a life well lived. I'm happy that those that I have are so very precious to me, and that they are worthy to last.
Now, if you find any more diamond rings...
There's a ring in here. Ron's going to learn how to shoot the gun and run from it.
Buddy, my father-in-law, he was really good at taking the city girl out of her element. I'll never forget one of my very first visits out to Arizona. Within seconds of arriving, he turns to me and goes, "All right, you ready to shoot a shotgun?"
I got scared with that gun. Okay, where is it?
It's got a show.
Okay, now don't.
You see, I'm not very big into guns, but he was there to guide me.
Hold your arms stiff.
Yeah.
Because if you
What
don't,
I reckon, it's gonna hit me back.
It might hit you right between the eyes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. No,
Then I don't wanna
this is a
shoot this
revolver.
gun.
No, it's not.
Okay.
But it sounds like.
And you missed horribly.
Well, that's all right.
No.
Jesus, don't show this video.
No, put those on.
Arrest me. No, try not to shoot Mom over there.
Hi, Dad.
Oh. Okay. Now you think you can do it?
Yeah.
Okay, bring me some more bullets.
And with Buddy by my side, after a few tries,
Hang on. Hey.
I hit that target.
Teach me how to do it once, and then I'll be good.
Well, with bird shot, you can't miss.
And I can tell he was very proud.
Shot the can.
All right.
The thing is as much as he made me a little bit more country, I made him a little bit more city. You see, Buddy loved hitting the casinos out in Laughlin, but he was not very fond of Las Vegas. But the same way he took me out of my element, years later, I took him out of his. I'll never forget dancing on Las Vegas Boulevard with Buddy, James, and Cindy. I'll never forget trying to convince Buddy of all the reasons why Las Vegas was so much better than Laughlin. Near the end of the trip, it was all worth it, for the seasoned gambler hit the jackpot in a new part of town.
I used to call Dad when I had good news, out here in Hollywood. Whenever he came out to visit, it was all about kind of living the lifestyle. And I'd take him to film premieres or premiere parties or rap parties if I could. We went to the Bedazzled rap party where we dressed up in suits, and when we showed up, everybody thought he was one of the producers. So it's, "Oh, yes, sir, right this way, sir." And the bouncers would let him right in the club, and I went with him because I was with this big shot Hollywood producer. And then, of course, we had a great time inside. There was these women dressed up as demons, and they had these giant boa constrictors. And, of course, everybody knows Dad hates snakes. So there's this photo of him where the girls came up behind him with the snakes on both sides, and he looks like he's about to crawl right out of that suit. And of course, Dad finally got his chance to be in a Hollywood movie. Mine. I mean, well, just look at him. Just look at that face. He looks like a movie star, doesn't he? Well, he came out to visit, and, actually, I'll let him tell the story.
Now, being how most everybody here is from Hollywood, you gotta know that Jim give me my chance to have the shortest acting career in Hollywood ever. I had 2 lines. I I had 2 words, actually. I studied all night long to say bravo, bravo. The only reason I got the job is because the guy that was supposed to do it didn't show up. So Kim said he needed an old fart to look boring and say bravo, bravo. And he promised he was going back into acting. He'd never make another movie. And I worked for nothing.
Well, he actually did a little bit more than a bit part. He and Mom also recorded a song for the film.
I'm having a hard enough time remembering my lines.
And if you mess up, you can do it again.
Oh, yeah, and again and again and again. That's what we didn't do on the first album. Ready?
And since he was already in LA, I figured, hey, why don't I put him to work behind the scenes as well?
I've got the blues, I feel so lonely. I'd give the world if I could only make you understand that truly would be grand. Baby, won't you please come home?
I'm gonna telephone my baby, ask him, won't you please come home? 'Cause with you gone, I'll worry all night long. Baby, won't you please come home?
A lot of people helping me. There's a son of a bitch and no good bastard.
Well, then it's a good thing I got that on videotape, huh?
When you left, you broke my heart. Said we never break apart. Every hour in the day you can hear me.
So, we gotta paint all this white before we affix it to the walls.
What's this we? I'm going to paint.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. This whole dressing in the room is only gonna take us 16 hours.
I helped.
It only took us 2 hours.
No, correction. It's only gonna take us 24 beers.
Yeah.
Well, we're already at 24.
When you left, you broke my heart.
And of course, Mom and Dad recorded a song for our film, Hollywood Girl, which gave them the opportunity to be in a recording studio again. And well, you know what happens when you put musicians in a recording studio. You get a jam session.
This was a jam room. You guys are christening my jam room, by the way.
It's funny, the one good thing of this film is you
Jim
got
something to
a remodeled dining room and you have a new jam room at
I
it.
know, dude. You got feng shui my...
We got something for you.
Huh.
We got something for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Don't see.
Don't see.
Keep it C.
He'll still be strong.
G or C?
G. All righty, here we go. Where are we at?
We can do that.
Maybe, baby, I'll have you. Maybe, baby, you'll be true. Maybe, baby, I'll have you for me.
It's funny, honey, you don't care.
You never listen to my prayer. Maybe, walk away and say, maybe, maybe I'll have you. Maybe, maybe, oh, maybe, maybe I'll have you.
You might know this one, hold on.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'm sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in. I'll watch them roll away again. Oh, and I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh, 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 oh. Left my home in Arizona. I'm heading for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've got nothing to live for. Looks like nothing's gonna come my way. Oh, and I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. And I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh, 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 oh. Looks like nothing's ever gonna change. Looks like everything remains the same. Oh, oh. I can't do it till people tell me to do. Guess I just have to stay the same. And I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. And I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. One more time. And I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, and I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh, I guess I'm slide.
Then what do I do? Just disappear?
You go sit down next to Mom.
I think you ask. You're supposed to ask, "What are your intentions?" What are your intentions?
As I hang on to Leland, I already know the intentions. I could never be loved by anyone sweeter than you.
Could never belong to anyone sweeter than you. With you to share.
Hi, this is Raylan. One day, me, John, Lego, and Penelope went up to visit my parents at their house in Mare. And while we were there, Grandma was showing us the chicken coop. So we were walking around and checking out the chickens. And while we were checking out the chickens, Leyland says, "Hey, Grandma, is there always a snake in the chicken coop?" Where Grandma said, "Uh-oh, let's get out of the chicken coop real quick and tell Grandpa." So we went and told Grandpa that there was a big snake in the chicken coop, which he thought it was going to be a rattlesnake trying to eat the chickens. So he went up to the coop with his gun, just in case, a gun in one hand, ready to grab the snake in the other hand. But it turned out it wasn't a rattlesnake, it was just a bull snake. So he didn't have to shoot anything. But what he did was he reached down and he grabbed the snake with his bare hand, grabbed it by the mouth, and carried the snake out. And because it was a king snake and it was a good snake, he let it go into the wild. My dad was always a tough guy like that. And definitely didn't show any fear, you know, just grabbing this very giant 6-foot snake out of the chicken coop. Though later to find out that apparently my dad is terrified of snakes. He definitely did not let it show.
It's all your fault.
Yes, I know it. We were just part of it all.
Hello, Mr. Sunshine, you're so bright today. I'm glad to see you. I missed you yesterday. I lost my darling. I don't know what to do. Hello, Mr. Sunshine, help me lose my blues. Goodbye, lonely raindrops, keep away from me. It broke my poor heart when she set me free, and I'll find another I'm gonna love again. Hello, Mr. Sunshine, goodbye, lonely rain.
Little Rio. Brought to you.
Let's see what I look like.
Yeah.
Makes the best Thanksgiving.
Whoa.
Brand new grandson.
Oh. What is it?
They're just two grandkids.
like heights.
well, let me swing around here, and here's the view. Here's the view from up here. This is where the rock climbers end up at the top. Why don't you just lean over that edge there? You got some rope there if you want to go down the quick way. Yeah. Here you go, I got... Yeah.
Well, we're up as high as the seagulls. That's
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. There you go.
Be careful.
How's that for a view?
Yeah.
Top of Point Doom.
Yeah.
Got a nice view of the ocean.
Can I find another girl who will be true? Now I'm your Mr. Sunshine, always be with you. I'm your Mr. Sunshine.
Check the gap. Well, balls.
I don't know why I let you break my heart. Why did I let you tear my world apart? You took my love, but now I understand that your kind of love is just a one-night stand. You only want a one-night stand, it's true. Just anyone who comes along will do. Someday you'll find it's wrong to cheat and lie. Then your one-night stand of love will make you cry. The honky-tonks and bright lights are your life. You'll never be somebody's loving wife. Each guy you meet will love you for a while, but your one-night stand will always be your style. You're a honky-tonkin' woman full of sin. You should realize you'll never really win. You'll never get to wear a wedding band, 'cause your kind of love is just a one-night stand. Yes, your kind of love is just a one-night stand.